In the studio today, we have Colerain Township Police Chief Denney and Fire Chief Cook. You may notice that we are set up a little differently than usual today. We are set up, normally you find us all cozily around a small table for a conversation. Today we're a little bit more distant because we are filming the very first socially distant episode of Talking with Colerain Township. But we wanted to make sure that we took some time to speak with the top responders in the township and find out what's going on right now, what do we need to know, what are the best sources of information. So thank you so much for taking some time. I'm sure you're busy this week.
Thank you.
Why don't I start with you, Chief Denney? What are some things that you want people to know this week? They're seeing a lot on their social media feed when they turn on the television. What are some of the things that you want them to know first and foremost as they're getting all that info?
Well, the most important thing is that we are here. We're ready to respond. Both Chief Cook and I, and I'll let him speak for himself, but we have very good, smart people working with us that are helping us be ready for this and making sure that we have the resources that the township needs when they need them. The main message we want to hear or tell people is if you hear something and it's not coming from us, it may not be true. So make sure that you're checking in with the fire department. We've made them the voice of the township, and any information that we want to make sure that the community has will come through them. That eliminates rumors, that eliminates any misinformation getting out, so we want to make sure that we speak with one voice. So we are here and we are on top of this.
And Chief Cook, what would you want to add to that?
Well, as Chief Denney said, the one thing that I can assure the citizens, the businesses of the township, that the public safety agencies, the fire department, the police department, we're open for business. We're here to provide the same service that we always do. Obviously, you've heard over and over again that, we're living and certainly working in unprecedented times. Certainly during the course of my career, I never thought that I would have to provide services to the community or even live in a pandemic type of situation. I guess we've always just believed that our healthcare system, is of adequate nature that, we would never have to live or work in a situation like this. But as I said, I can assure you that we're open for business. You still can expect the same quality, high quality service from both the police department and the fire department that you've come to expect. You can expect compassionate care to be treated with dignity, respect, just an overall humanistic approach, as emergency medical responders. Even though that you may appear to be symptomatic, again, you can still expect to be treated with respect and dignity and compassionate care. Now, what you may see is a little different approach on how we treat the patient. First and foremost, your safety is paramount, our safety is paramount. So, as we approach a patient, especially in an emergency medical situation, you will see us in protective gloves. You will see us in protective mask. Depending on the severity of the situation, that level of protective equipment may be enhanced even more. And again, that's all dependent upon the presentation of the victim or the patient.
That's actually kind of leads to my next question, is that we are talking about a virus. They're called COVID-19. That's what we're calling it now. This is not a usual police thing to train for or fire thing to train for. This is, like you said, this is a healthcare thing to train for. So you have some different equipment and some different training. And what are some of the other things? You talked about gloves. There might be masks. There will be things that look different when you call your fire department or your police department that folks can be ready to see. That it will help them, I think, to expect to see these kind of things. They protect not only your first responders, because we need to make sure the first responders don't get sick, so we continue to have first responders, but they also protect the rest of the public, because if we can stop a firefighter from being exposed when the firefighter goes to the next call, they're not going to bring that with them. So I think it's important for the public to know that it's also protecting the rest of the public when these things happen. What are some of the other extra measures that are going on?
The most important tool the officers have is common sense. And we've talked to them about limiting their exposures. We have ability to take online reports, take reports over the telephone, delay some accident reports, and then have people self-report those. So common sense, so that when we go to your home for an emergency, we're not bringing a virus with us. So we do have the hand sanitizers and the masks and things of that nature that people are probably familiar seeing, but our goal is to avoid exposing ourselves and then exposing someone else. The township has done a phenomenal job. They've been on top of this for weeks now, which is very impressive. Obviously, we work for them, and it makes us feel good, but from standing off to the side, it's very impressive that they've quickly got on top of this and given us the information we need to educate our people, not in a panic mode, but to say, use your common sense and prepare. We don't have to respond to everything the same way we always did. And use those abilities that we have, that we already had set up through online and through using the telephone that we didn't have before. So we've altered our response there. We've taken some staffing measures to make sure that even if someone were to get sick in the department, it would not run through the whole department. So we've staffed separate squads and platoons so that we will always be ready to respond. But I think that's the most important common tool that we use is common sense.
So let me stop there. I just want to remind people that means if you have a reason that you need to call the police, which all the regular things are still happening in our lives, so it will not necessarily be a virus-related reason. But then you can consider using the online way to do that. And what's the best place for them to look if they want to?
ColerainTownship.org. If you come to the township's website, there's a link there for online police reporting. All we ask is that you do not report emergencies, obviously, on that site. That is for reports or for any just run-of-the-mill thing that you need. You can put requests in to get reports, whatever you need, clerically done through that as well. But still, if there's an emergency, we want people to call 911, the traditional method, and we will still come. We just want to make sure that our people are available to come by not responding to report runs that could be handled in different ways. We have people on station that can take a lot of those reports. So you will not be told no. We will still take care of any issues that you have, but it's just going to be done a little bit differently for now.
And other things that people might normally stop into the office for can also be done over the phone.
Yes.
And there's a non-emergency number to call. You don't have to call 911 to report something that maybe you see in your neighborhood or your neighbor. That's not an urgent emergency. What is the number?
Right. We made it easy for us as police officers. It's 321-COPS.
Okay.
So 321-COPS will get you straight to our police department. If for some reason we are not there to answer the phone immediately, it forwards to the Hamilton County Communications Center. So it is always manned and it's always available to be answered.
Okay, so your very first resource then is always 321-COPS in Colerain Township.
As long as it's not an emergency or an
Okay.
in-progress crime, yes.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, I will repeat 911 if it is an emergency.
Absolutely.
We're not saying don't call 911. We're just saying these other means are available to make sure that the emergency channels are open when people need them for
And
emergency.
if you're not sure, call 911.
Yeah.
We don't want you trying to make that decision during an emergency situation. If you're not sure, call 911 and we will take care of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any other, Chief Cook, are there any other special equipment or arrangements or training that your crew has had to go through?
Well, you mentioned a little bit about being trained in regards to personal protective equipment. As EMTs, emergency medical technicians, and paramedics, that's very basic to us. So right now we're in a situation where we're at a increased or heightened awareness. So again, we have enhanced elements of our personal protective equipment that we can utilize. But again, it depends on the situation as it's presenting itself. I think I know as for a fact, if one was to call 911, you can expect some additional questioning from the 911 call taker. And what we call this is screening. What it is, it's an effort to get information up front to provide to the first responders that a potential situation involving a virus or contagious disease exists. And some of the things I guess they can expect is, are you experiencing a fever, coughing, trouble breathing, things like that. So if that information is received up front, the 911 center will convey that information to us, and that allows us to be better prepared when we arrive at the resident or the address of the incident. Certainly some of the other things that we're doing within the fire department to be better prepared, and I guess to minimize our exposure and our risk is unfortunate. Like I said, we're living in unprecedented times and working in unprecedented times. You know, we've had to close our fire stations off to the public. And again, I can't emphasize enough that that's not only for the public's protection, but also for our protection as well. You know, we're limiting our scheduling in order to comply with the governor's directive as far as to limit our distancing. You know, we're conducting meetings, you know, virtually now. You know, we're having to sit in front of our computers to be able to communicate amongst one another and exchange information. The township administration, the police department, the fire department, you know, we're in constant communication. We meet every morning to exchange information that's vital to the services that we're providing on a daily basis.
That brings to mind that the sources people are getting their information from, because it's coming from so many places. And I think the biggest one right now is social media, but also their televisions. I think that we're starting to get used to the fact that every day at about 2 or 2:30, we're going to see the Ohio governor come on and make a statement. We are carrying those on Waycross. And we're starting to get used to that every day at about 10 o'clock, the county is making their announcements. For the local level of Colerain Township, you have one dedicated place that Colerain Township residents should just be looking and not watching posts, not watching what the memes that pop up with a picture. And that is the fire department Facebook page.
Understand that the information that we receive and disseminate are from trusted sources. The CDC, Center for Disease Control, the State of Ohio Public Health Department, Hamilton County Public Health Department. We take that information, review the information, and we disseminate accurate information based on the information that we receive from those sources. So, like I said, we are working around the clock to make sure that the information that we are delivering to Colerain Township residents and visitors is accurate. And again, it's based off of information that we receive from those three sources.
I think that's important because there's one source at each level. The national level, you mentioned CDC. The state level, the Ohio Governor's Office, the Ohio Department of Health. And the county level, that's happening at one source. At the local level, and here at Waycross, we're getting our information from those sources. We're seeing a lot of other stuff, but what we're running in our slides and our PSAs are things that match up with those sources. And hopefully this will become part of that, because this is coming directly from you two. I do want to mention at the county level, there is a Hamilton County emergency app you can put on your phone. I know we're really focused on Colerain Township here, but as being part of Hamilton County, any kind of urgent updates that come out of Hamilton County go on that app.
Yeah,
and
that's
so many people have smartphones.
Yeah, the Hamilton County, Alert Hamilton County,
Yeah.
or Alert Colerain. I would urge, you know, every resident, or even go further than that, every citizen of this county to subscribe to the Alert Hamilton County system. It's certainly a very accurate means of communicating emergency information. It's a very timely way of receiving communications, emergencies. So I would encourage every citizen of Hamilton County to subscribe to the Alert Hamilton County system.
One of the things I want to mention, because we're recording this after Governor DeWine has issued a stay-at-home order for all of Ohio, so that includes us in Colerain Township. And I want to talk about what that means and what that does not mean, and how you're enforcing that and what you're taking a look at.
Well, the word there is order. It's not a suggestion at this point. The governor's issued an order, and it's for everyone's safety. So we will comply with the governor's order, and we will make sure we help educate the community. Our goal is not to be punitive or to arrest people, but it's to make sure everyone understands what the order is and help them comply with that order. So our officers have been told, when we have that opportunity to make sure people understand that. So if you may call us and say there's a party in an apartment building, we're going to do everything in the world to get that taken care of. We do not want to be arresting people for that. That is not the outcome for any of us. That takes more resources. That puts our officers in contact with people that we'd rather not have them in contact with. So again, this is a tough time for everybody. Our goal is to be an education arm and to make sure people understand that and help them comply with the order.
So when we see stay at home, part of the problem is that people are thinking, great, work is closed, I'm not at work, I'm not at school, I'm not at college. This is the perfect time I've been waiting for to hang out with my friends. And it's not, for a lot of reasons. The first and foremost is this is a state order that legally will be reinforced. You don't want to arrest people. This is not to alarm anyone, but this is an order. Like you said, this is not a suggestion.
The quicker we comply, the quicker maybe we can all get back to our normal lives. And the longer we extend this by deciding that we are exempt from that order and we're going to do what we want, I think it's going to continue this a little bit longer, and it's going to require that the restrictions get tighter. So if we can work together as a community and get through this, I think we'll all return to normal quicker.
And I think he's working really hard to keep from having to require harder and harder lockdowns.
You don't want your resources tied up with that.
He's asking us to make some smart choices. And so I just, normally I stick just a conversation, but I just want to take a minute to say, so for instance, I don't feel sick. So I might think I should go visit my 74-year-old friend. I should go visit all these people. And the order says you can leave your house to take care of people. But the importance of limiting our interaction is as soon as I visit as a no symptoms person, and I look like a perfectly good person to go visit someone, as soon as I go visit someone else, everyone else I have interacted with up to that is now interacting with my amazing 74-year-old friend. Yes. So if I've stopped to get gas, if I went into the store because I needed an incredible snack stash to be trapped with, and I'm not going to say I didn't need that, I am bringing all of those people, and I don't know who they've interacted with. So really the only way to protect the people who are at risk is just assume you're carrying it. Which is why we have the stay-at-home order. It's why we're saying, please, this is not a good time to have a party. Right. We can have lots of parties when this is over. I highly recommend that in a responsible manner, of course.
Absolutely.
On my way over here this morning, I passed a car that had 4 senior individuals in it. And I thought to myself, do these people not take the situation seriously? I mean, we know that there's elements in society that are not taking this situation seriously or heeding the warnings that have been issued. But I thought to myself, here's 4 what would be considered high-risk people, riding together. Of course, I have no indication or any knowledge of where they're going. There's still that essential services component of this order that must be adhered to. But again, I just thought to myself, why are these people out on the road in a car together? Again, high risk people, and but can't emphasize enough to people that this is a serious situation. It is real, and the warnings have been issued, and they've been issued for a reason. The directive from the governor, it's there for a reason. So. I can't encourage people enough to take this pandemic serious. And again, it is a real situation.
Thank you so much for coming in and helping us, just in a quiet place, explain all of these things in a way that's local to Colerain Township so that the residents know what their sources are. I know you have one key person that directs the communications in an emergency. And you're also using, again, the Colerain Township Fire Department as a one channel for this information to come through, so that there's not conflicting information and people all have one place to go look. So talk about the one emergency communicator that people can expect to hear responses from?
Well, understand, we realize that not everybody has Facebook. Not everybody has the ability to access the internet. Again, we also realize that there are members of the community that may have language barriers. So we're trying to address all those challenges in one way, shape, or form to ensure that that information is disseminated. We're working with the church groups. We're trying to work with cultural groups, but we're working on several different fronts and try to get this information out to the entire community and all of those that are represented in the community.
That's excellent. And that's actually one reason that Waycross is still here and why we are an essential operation that still continues. We're closed, our building is closed to the public, but we're still making sure that government communications, that if you are flipping through cable stations, you will find information even if you're not comfortable on the internet. People who are comfortable with email should definitely go to the Colerain Township website.
Yes.
And sign up for Circle. And it's CERKL, not how you would normally spell circle, but it's how you sign up to get the official township emails. And you can even check off categories you're most interested in. If you don't care about the kid activities, but you only want the senior activities or vice versa, you can actually check that off. But if you're not getting Circle emails, this is a great time to go. So get the Hamilton County Emergency app. Go sign up for Circle at the Colerain Township website. This is a good time to make sure you're getting all the information from all the sources that are available, because there are lots of sources available. And I love that you're working with different churches, because a lot of people will turn to their pastors and to their churches, and so to make sure they also have the same consistent information is really important too. Well, thank you so much for coming in and making sure we got to do this. Is there anything else in particular you want to make sure you leave folks with?
I think on our end, we do our best to stay in our lane. This is not our expertise. You have an amazing fire department. I'm telling you, you've got smart people running the fire department that are hooked into smart people in the government. I know there's a lot of questioning back and forth, and there's people who don't believe this is real. These are smart people who are trained for this. This is not the time to question it. Now's the time to believe it and take care of yourselves. And we will do everything we can for this township to make sure we're here for them.
And how about you?
And Chief Denney, thank you for the compliments there, but we're in this together. Public safety is our business. Providing services to the township is our part of our business. But again, we're open for business, and you can expect the same high quality service that you would any other time from both agencies.
Well, those sound like a really good place, some really good thoughts to end with, to leave the citizens of Colerain Township with. Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for watching to make sure that you're informed about what's going on in Colerain Township. I'm Government Programming Coordinator at Waycross Community Media, Dana Gagnon, and I look forward to seeing you next time.